Well, howdy there, folks. James, politicalfriar.com, coming to you again. Got the LSE hat on, so we're going to talk about international relations. I want to chat a little bit about Argentina and their new president, Javier Milei. He is an outrage machine. He became popular in Argentina as a TV pundit. He would go on the local and national news shows and talk about the economy, and he kept getting invited on because he would do things like dress up like a superhero and sing, or brandish a chainsaw, or just say outrageous stuff. Great for TV ratings, but he also had a little bit of credibility because before he became a TV clown, he was an economist and an author, and he preached a truly radical economic policy for Argentina. So, what does he want to try to do with his presidency? Well, his trademark issue is dollarization. That is to replace all of Argentina's pesos with dollars. And this is done because Argentina's peso is the fastest inflating currency in any major economy. It is useful to go and change whatever currency, harder currency like dollars or euros you've got, for pesos, to spend those pesos the same day, because the next day they will be worth less and less and less. And so you can't save in pesos at all. You can maybe transact in them, but if you're getting your salary in pesos or you're trying to save in pesos, it's just not going to work. And so his plan is to do what some other countries have done, El Salvador, Ecuador, Panama, and just straight use the US dollar as the national currency. There's some downsides to that. Most importantly, that the Fed, that controls the money supply, doesn't take Argentina into consideration when it's doing that. And so you could have a massive deflationary movement if you end up with the dollar being the currency, because the Fed just might not provide enough. The Fed is not going to care about the money supply and how it affects Argentina. And so you could end up with a whipsaw, massive inflation and massive deflation in effect. There's other practical issues with dollarization. The first one, if they are going to avoid deflation, is that Argentina needs to get enough dollars to replace the pesos. And that means Argentina needs to find 35 to 50 billion dollars to do that. And that's not going to be super easy to get because Argentina is basically frozen out of international credit markets for the same reasons why its economy is a basket case. So you can't just print dollars. That's the thing, is dollars are controlled by the US, not Argentina. So it would have to figure out some way of getting funding. Beyond this, there are legal issues with dollarizing. It certainly would require at least an act of Congress, an actual law to do this, and potentially there's some arguments that might even require a constitutional change to dollarize. And it turns out that the president's party only controls, the third most votes in Congress. It's not even a minority party; it's a deep minority party. So he would have to get Peronists and statists and institutionalists on board to do any of this. Or, as some of his more liberal critics will point out, he could also just ignore the Congress and go all extrajudicial. Um, that would be bad, but Argentina's had dictators in the past who have just ignored the law, and so we could end up with a authoritarian doing some anarcho capitalist stuff. That'd be weird. But what else does he want to do? Well, he wants to cut spending by a tremendous amount, like half. He just says, we'll shutter all these ministries and we'll take a chainsaw to the budget. And he says that will kickstart the economy and get the shackles of government off of the productive forces. And there's no doubt that market economies need to have a balance between the freewheeling, wild laissez-faire and some of the standardization and regulation that keeps that laissez-faire from being too sharp elbowed. He's proposing to radically shift that balance towards laissez-faire and away from regulation. It's arguable that that's the right thing to do. I don't think it's necessarily the right thing to do quickly, but apparently he says he doesn't intend to do it quickly. He's recently said it'll take 2 years to, just to combat inflation in Argentina, even if everything goes right. So this is something where oddly, since he's been elected on real true showmanship, second that it became clear that he was actually going to get power, the pragmatism just popped right out. He campaigned on cutting ties with China because he doesn't do pacts with communists, except yesterday he says that's not going to happen. He says that he wasn't going to have much trade with Brazil because, again, Lula in Brazil is a leftist leader, and that's anathema to him, except he invited Lula to his inauguration. It's not at all clear where he's going to actually end up on any of these things, and it's not at all clear how much his character that he plays on TV is going to influence his presidency. I suppose I'm cautiously optimistic. When he called the Pope at one point the devil, like actually literally the agent of the evil one is something that he called the Pope, and then the day that he gets elected he calls the Pope your holiness on a phone call. He clearly can do this whipsaw thing. Maybe it'll work out okay, but what we do know is this presidency is a leap into the void. We haven't had one like this in Argentina or really most anywhere else. Huh? I guess we're just going to have to stay tuned. Anyway, if you like that, leave me a like. Tell me how I'm wrong in the comments down below. Hit that subscribe button. Subscribe is big for me right now, and maybe share this with a friend. I really appreciate you. Thanks.